This is Black Views, bringing you the Black News. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. I come to you today with another story. Today, the story is about Elijah McClain. Elijah McClain was a young man who was walking from the store to his home. Unfortunately, he was stopped by the police. And the video I'm about to show you will give you detailed information about exactly what happened. Please listen, and I'll come back later with additional commentary.
This is Democracy Now! I'm Amy Goodman as we go to Colorado, where police pepper sprayed protesters after thousands shut down a highway in Aurora Saturday to demand justice for Elijah McClain. He's the 23-year-old African-American man killed by police last August. Elijah's story is facing renewed scrutiny and outrage amidst the nationwide uprising against police brutality. Last week, Colorado Governor Jared Polis ordered Colorado Attorney General to investigate the death. On the night of August 24th, 2019, Elijah was walking home from a store where he bought iced tea when someone called 911 on him to report a, quote, suspicious person, though they said he was unarmed. McClain was wearing a ski mask, something his family says he often did because he had anemia and got cold easily. Police body camera footage, a warning this footage we're showing contains disturbing scenes, shows 3 Aurora police officers answering the call, attempting to handcuff Elijah McClain. He was unarmed, had committed no crime, was simply walking home. After one officer grabbed him by the arms, Elijah said, quote, "I'm an introvert. Please respect the boundaries that I am speaking. Leave me alone." Despite this, the officers then used a chokehold that's since been banned to bring McClain to the ground. In body camera footage of the encounter, McClain can be heard saying the same words George Floyd and Eric Garner uttered in their final moments, "I can't breathe." Again, a warning to our audience. The following video contains disturbing footage of police violence.
Fighting us in the ground.
My name is Elijah McClain.
Yeah,
That's all.
maybe he's carotid.
That's what I was doing. I was just going home. Why? I'm an introvert and I'm different.
Come out?
No.
Was he out? I heard some snoring.
I just don't like
completely.
going
He
home.
consciousness.
I'm just different. I'm just different. That's all. That's all I was doing.
It was actually Rosenberg.
I'm so sorry.
You're done, dude.
I have no gun.
That's where I tried carotid.
I don't do that stuff. I don't do any fighting.
Other units that are not here.
Why were you
slow it down a
telling me?
little bit.
I don't lose guns. I don't even kill flies. I don't eat meat. I'm not a vegetarian. I don't judge people.
No, I mean,
for any.
Medical responders soon arrived on the scene and injected Elijah McClain with ketamine, a kind of anesthetic. For someone the size of 300 pounds, he is 140 pounds. He suffered a cardiac arrest on the way to hospital, died several days later. Footage from the night of Elijah McClain's killing is incomplete because the officers' body cameras did not capture the entire encounter. The police say the cameras fell off during the arrest, but in one clip from that night, a police officer is seen telling another officer on the scene to move his body camera. Listen carefully as the audio is muffled.
I can't breathe correctly because.
Move your camera, dude.
Move your camera, dude, one police officer said to another. In another clip of Elijah's arrest, one of the officers hands his body camera to another officer on the scene, saying he shut it off.
Here you go. Bag and ball. You ready? Whose is this? Mine. It was recording. I just shut it off because it's split in half. So.
One of the officers claimed Elijah McClain reached for the officer's gun during the arrest. But in this clip from the body camera, police officer Jason Rosenblatt tells another officer on the scene he did not feel Elijah grab his gun.
Brody tells me to try to grab my gun, so pull him down while he's so he pulls his arm free and comes out, and I don't remember feeling it because I was focused on him, but he's like, "You trying to grab your gun?" So I'm like, okay, so he comes down, and then
The three officers involved in the killing, Nathan Woodyard, Jason Rosenblatt, and Randy Radema, were never criminally charged. They were temporarily placed on administrative leave, but have all been reinstated. 6 months after his killing, an Aurora Police Department Excessive Force Review Board found the officers' actions were, quote, within policy and consistent with training. Elijah McClain was a massage therapist, a gentle soul who loved to play the violin. He would often go to animal shelters to play music for the dogs and the cats there. Well, for more on Elijah McClain's killing, we go to Denver, Colorado, where we're joined by his family's attorney, Mari Newman. Her op-ed in the Denver Post is headlined, "Colorado's Police Reform Law Will Help Rein in Worst of Law Enforcement Behavior." Welcome to Democracy Now! It's good to have you with us, Mari. If you can take us through, once again, what you understand and how it is possible that it's only almost a year later that the Attorney General is now reinvestigating this case and the officers are at work. What happened to him that night?
You've given a great summary of what happened. You know, it's really atrocious that it's taken almost a year for this case to gain the kind of attention that it should have gained immediately. Back in November of last year, we were standing on the steps of the municipal building in Aurora, Colorado, demanding an independent investigation. And at that time, all we heard was crickets. The new mayor was elected of Aurora, Mayor Mike Kaufman. Even before he came into office, he said his first order of business was going to be to address this case. He did nothing. He'd never reached out to the family. We heard nothing about that until very recently, after an online petition, once it reached somewhere over 1 million signatures. I understand that it's something over 3 million now. We heard through the media that Aurora had hired a so-called independent investigator to look into the case. It turned out the independent investigator wasn't independent at all, was in fact a former police officer turned lawyer whose practice is dedicated to defending officers accused of excessive force. So that's who Aurora brought in for their independent investigation, obviously, yet another effort to deny all accountability. So finally, now that there has been this massive outcry, millions and millions of signatures, international media attention, the governor of Colorado has actually stepped in and called for a truly independent investigation from our state attorney general. So hopefully that will lead to some more robust outcome.
So Elijah was walking home from the grocery store with an iced tea, and the police stopped him. And then explain exactly what they did to him.
You know, at the outset, there was no legal justification for them to stop Elijah. He wasn't suspected of committing any crime. And I know you played part of the 911 clip. The caller says, no, I don't believe he's committed any crime. There's no weapon involved. I'm not in danger. Nobody else is in danger. So there was no reasonable suspicion to believe he had committed any crime, and thus no reason to even stop him. And yet these three officers not just stopped him, but grabbed him, threw him up against a wall, tackled him onto the ground, inflicted multiple kinds of force upon him, 2 carotid chokeholds. His entire body is covered with abrasions. And as you saw, he's vomiting from the pain, and as he's crying out, saying that he's giving his name, he's saying that he doesn't fight, that he's a vegetarian, that he doesn't kill flies, he doesn't judge people. And of course, the tragic last words that we've heard from so many men who are killed by law enforcement, I can't breathe.
They were mocking him as he threw up?
It's astounding. You hear one officer saying, oh, don't get that on me. And then another one who threatens, I'm going to bring in a dog to bite you if you don't quit messing around. I mean, if that is the quality of law enforcement in Aurora, the people should be petrified.
And then paramedics came in and injected him with a massive dose of ketamine. Explain what it is, why they would inject him.
You know, there's no reason for them to have injected him at all. He was handcuffed on the ground. His hands were cuffed behind his back. He was down on the ground. He was being pressed down by officers, each of whom very significantly outweighed him. He was being pressed down into his own vomit. He was struggling to breathe, but he was not fighting. So there was no reason to inject him with anything at all, much less a dosage of ketamine that would have been appropriate, if for anybody, for somebody well over twice his size.
So what are you calling for now? I mean, the vigils that have been held for him, the violin vigils of thousands because he played the violin. What does the Attorney General, what are you calling for? These 3 police are out on the street working?
The 3 police just very recently, within the last couple of weeks after this case gained international attention, have now been placed on desk duty, not to protect the public, but protect them. So this just is one more illustration of Aurora's motivations here. The city has not been concerned one bit about the safety of the public. In fact, the only officer who received even the tiniest hand slap was the one who threatened to sick a dog on a dying man who was being pressed down into his own vomit. The rest were back out on the street until just a couple of weeks ago.
What does his mom want to see? What does Elijah's mom?
Elijah's family hopes to see all of the officers who were involved criminally prosecuted, certainly the 3 who are directly involved, but also the 7 officers, including a sergeant, who stood idly by and failed to intervene as their son was being killed. A sergeant who even says he was becoming increasingly concerned about Elijah's physical well-being, but did nothing about it. And then, of course, the 2 medics who gave him this massive dose of ketamine, they should also be criminally charged.
It's August 24, 2019 in Aurora, Colorado. A security camera picks up 23-year-old Elijah McClain at this Shell gas station buying soft drinks and wearing a face mask. His family lawyer told NBC News he was in the habit of wearing this mask. After paying for his items, he turns around and bows to the man behind him in line. His family told NBC News this was his signature gratitude bow. At 10:30 p.m., a man calls 911.
He has a mask on. He looks sketchy. He might be a good person or a bad person.
Yeah.
So, mask on.
Okay. Were any weapons involved or mentioned?
No.
Okay. What color's the mask, or what does it look like?
Black.
Black mask?
He's like a...
Is it like a ski mask, or what type of mask is it?
Yeah, like a ski mask.
Elijah McClain is walking home from a nearby Shell gas station. He's holding a plastic bag with his purchases. At 10:43 p.m., Aurora police officer Nathan Woodyard spots McClain.
Do me a favor, stop right there. Hey, stop right there. Stop. 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 I have a right to stop you because you're being suspicious.
9 seconds after exiting his vehicle, the officer initiates physical contact.
Stop tensing up, dude.
10:44 p.m., Officer Jason Rosenblatt and Officer Randy Rodema are now also on the scene and surround McClain.
No, I am an introvert. Please respect the boundaries that I am speaking.
Stop tensing up. Stop. Relax.
Stop. I'm going home.
Relax, or I'm going to have to change this situation. Stop.
Leave me alone.
Sir,
can
you please
No, can you leave me alone? No, we're gonna talk to you. You guys started to arrest me, and I was stopping my music to listen. Now let go.
The situation escalates when the officers try to move McClain onto the grass. Officer Woodyard's body cam is knocked to the ground.
You guys.
Take my power back, and I intend to be.
Officer Rodema says this.
Grab your gun, dude.
It's unclear from the body cameras whether or not McClain reached for an officer's weapon. All 3 officers wrestle McClain to the ground.
Give us more. Give us some more units. We're fighting them.
At this moment, one of the officers uses a carotid control hold on McClain, a tactic that involves an officer placing his arm around a subject's neck, applying pressure, and restricting blood to the brain via the carotid arteries. Responding officers later told an Aurora police investigator that McClain briefly went unconscious and the officers released the hold. At 10:46 p.m., just over 2 minutes after the first officer made contact with him, McClain is pinned to the ground and says this.
Fighting us on the ground. It was Elijah McClain.
We had to use carotid.
That's what I was doing. I was just going home. I'm an introvert and I'm different.
Did he come out? He's out. Was he out?
I heard some snoring.
He wasn't completely. He didn't lose consciousness. Yeah.
I'm just different.
He tried to grab my gun.
That's all. That's all I was doing.
It was actually Rosenblatt.
I'm so
He
sorry.
for your gun, dude.
I have no gun.
That's where I tried carotid.
I don't do that stuff. I don't do Any
Two-way
fighting?
between other units that are not here.
Why
They
were
can
you
slow it down a
touching
little
me?
bit.
I don't move guns. I don't even kill flies.
We got him detained.
I don't eat meat.
Do we have
I'm not
anything
a
other than him
vegetarian.
being
I
suspicious?
don't touch people.
No, I mean, I tried to stop him. We started walking away.
Yeah, Cruiser 26, we need to slow everybody down. We're
Responding officers later tell an investigator that McClain was actively resisting and fighting the officers' attempts to place him into handcuffs.
All I was trying to do
I tried.
was become better.
We started it because he reached for Rosie's gun when we had him on the wall. All right.
At 10:49 p.m., McClain throws up a first time.
I don't know. Stop.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to do that. I think I can't breathe correctly because
Over the next 4 minutes, McClain gets sick a few more times. Officers are also heard multiple times asking him to stop fighting.
Rolling this way, dude?
Yeah.
Are you able to?
My legs locking up.
There you go. Just like that.
You're good.
Don't
You're
get
good.
up, dude. It's not going to be good for you. I'm telling you right now.
If you keep messing around, I'm gonna bring my dog out. He's gonna dog bite you. You understand me?
At 10:54 p.m., McClain is still on the ground, and an officer says this.
So when the ambulance gets here, we're gonna go ahead and give him some ketamine.
Yeah, sounds good.
Perfect. Let's give that a couple of minutes, and then we'll put him on.
Whatever he's on, he has incredible strength.
Yeah, crazy strength.
I had him in
10:59 p.m., a fire medic administers 500 milligrams of ketamine to McClain in an attempt to sedate him. 2 to 3 minutes later, he is loaded onto an ambulance. And at 11:07 p.m., just over 20 minutes after the first officer made contact, responding officers are told McClain does not have a pulse.
He just cored.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Okay. So, sit tight.
McClain was resuscitated at the scene and taken to the hospital where he would be declared brain dead 3 days later. The coroner concluded last November that a combination of physical exertion and a narrow left coronary artery contributed to McClain's death, but could not determine the cause of his death. He added that it could have been either an accidental death caused by a reaction to the ketamine, a natural death, or a death linked to the carotid control hold used by officers. The district attorney later announced he would not charge the officers involved, saying that the evidence does not support a conclusion that McClain's death was the direct result of any particular action or individual. The family told NBC News that they believed an independent investigation should have been conducted initially. Now the governor has appointed a special prosecutor to reopen the investigation. We've reached out to the police union for comment and have not heard back.
All right, brothers and sisters, I'm sure after seeing these two reports here, you should be pretty much pissed the fuck off. And I say this because this brother was walking home minding his goddamn business, man. He went to get some tea from the store, okay? And then he gets approached by these white officers once again. Time and time again, white officers have shown when it comes to children and women, black people in particular, children, women, black people with disabilities, they do not know how to deal with it. They cannot be around children. They cannot be around black people with disabilities, and they damn sure can't be around black women. I saw a video yesterday where a police officer was tasing a pregnant woman. Not her back, not her arm, not on her legs, but he tased her on top of her stomach. And he didn't shoot this taser. This was a handheld taser. And he put it on the stomach where the baby, I mean, logically where you would think is located, in that area. Monsters. Black America, we are dealing with monsters. Elijah McClain spoke out and said, hey, I'm different. You know, I mean, and he articulated very, very well. But also in a way that if you are a professional, you can see that this person may have a handicap issue. When you listen to the police officers, did they even appear to seem as if they were trying to de-escalate the situation? When you listen to all the words they use words like, I'm gonna have to change this situation. I'm gonna have to get the dog to bite you. I'm gonna have to. There was no negotiation. There was no type of okay, this is someone, he's a little different, than the most, where they can recognize. You would think these police officers who be on the street every day, they could tell the difference between the person that's acting normal, or a normal, sensible person, or someone that is special. They constantly talk about how they want to fund the police with the proper training to do their jobs. But as you can see, it's almost like they wanted to break his spirit. They were looking forward to that. Like that was stop, no, stop. And then they immediately grabbed him, and he said, "Can I have my space? Like I'm different. I'm an introvert." And instead of trying to service him and really trying to investigate what was going on, they wanted to struggle with him. They wanted to inflict pain upon his little ass frame. If you look at these officers, you see how stacked they were, or at least the ones you saw in the video. And the man applied a chokehold around his neck. Come on. You've got to be kidding me. Once again, they prove to us that they're not worthy to be in our communities. Once again, they prove to us they are unable to patrol our neighborhoods. And I seriously believe that there should just be black officers in black areas, or maybe you ride with a black officer and he's the one that initiates and you help. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, it may sound idiotic, it may sound stupid, but at the same time, these are simple measures that I believe that are logically sound. Then on top of that, remember I told you, the EMS, they're all white. Then they come and give him 100 cc's of kindling. I may not be pronouncing it right, but a sedative. And the lady sat there and said, that's for a 300-pound man. They weren't smart enough, they weren't educated enough to realize this young person should not get that, or this little frame should not get that much of a dosage. Your life is at risk all day, black people. They throw you away like they throw a piece of garbage away. Your life is to be practiced upon. All the different chokeholds, all the different takedowns, all the different type of new weaponry is for you, them to practice on you. They can go all out on you. I got some videos on that where they train. Okay? And when they get around other white folks, they find different measures to mediate the situation. But when it comes to you, they go all out. They'll tell you, put the gun down, you got one, you don't even have a second. He starts shooting right after he says it. You don't get an opportunity. And this is why we have to have legislation. Okay? Not just ban the chokehold. There needs to be legislation in place. As a people, we should be protected. There's 12 million of us. And they keep killing all the men. I mean, if you have 12 million, let's say there's more women than there is men. But let's go ahead and let's break it down. I'll be generous and say half. So that's 6% of men, make 6% of America, and there's a whole lot of them that's locked down right now. So we're going to go less than 6%. And this is how the smallest percentage of people are treated. And once again, these are white officers that come into black areas and take these jobs, and the same taxes that the black people pay, that's their paychecks. That's their pension. That's a fucking sham. That's their paychecks. That's their pension. That's the insurance for their children to go to the doctor, go to the dentist. They got your money. This is your money that you pay, and this is who they put out on the street for you. And I just think it's despicable. So black people, once again, I'm just telling you, watch your surroundings and be smart. Okay? You know, sometimes, like I said, I know us. Like, we tell a motherfucker in a minute, we walk through you if you step in front of us. But you need to be on guard. And you need to be prepared, man. Suddenly, this guy talking about he grabbed his gun. See how they lie? They will lie to protect their ass. Even with cameras and shit. They really think the cameras are not recording. They really think like, this is how stupid and hillbilly bumfuck some of these officers are. Like, they really don't know shit about anything. They just know how to put this fucking badge on. Like, look at these officers right here. They just put a badge on. They don't even look like any kind of, like, professional. It's some motherfucking dirt mechanics and shit that put on a badge and a gun and a hat. They even wear their hat like they wear fucking, like, the hunter hats and shit. Like, you see them white boys wearing them out in the country and shit. That's how they wear their hats, man. And then they come around your neighborhood. Some of them try to talk slick and talk black to you. Like, hey, what's going on there, bro? Like, they sound all fucked up and shit. These are murderous people. They don't care about what you have to say. They hear all day. All day long they hear what's right, what's wrong. Okay? They have a badge. All day long somebody tell them, don't do this, don't do that. That's not how we do it. We're supposed to do it like this. If they don't know from here, they see it on TV. They see it in the news. They can see it in my videos. How not to act. How not to be on YouTube with your stupid actions. But they still do it. So it's kind of like, in a way, you know how when a football player goes on the field and he makes a play, he's making that play for his team. He might even commit a unnecessary roughness, a little extra foul and shit. You know what I'm saying? To roar his team up. And this is how I think. This is what I think they're doing. Like, all this extra shit after the fact. We saw George Floyd over here. Okay, we seen all this shit. We've seen weeks and weeks of protests, big time shit, national television, coronavirus. And they still do dumb shit. They're careless with your lives because they crave the blood. Especially of young black people. That's their goal right there. Break your fucking will and your spirit. Well, black family, I hope that I've entertained you with this time. Also, I want to say thank you. I also want to say click the like button. Please share and also subscribe. I'll see you next time. Peace. This is Black Views, bringing you the Black News.